Hi, Chloe.
Hi
How are
Ross.
you?
Good, how are
Good, good, good.
you?
I feel like if anybody knows me at all, you will know that I adore Sunburn with my whole heart. It's just such a good book. I love it, love it, love it. And I'm so thrilled to be sitting down with Chloe now to speak about her new book, Heap Earth Upon It, which is out officially today. So I'll run to the bookshop and get it immediately. I loved this, Chloe. I mean, you already know my thoughts, but I admire you so much for doing something so different with your two books. And I just think, a masterclass in suspense. The characters were fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. So, yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about He Birthed Upon It?
Thank you so much. That's such a
Mm.
compliment. Yeah, it is quite different to Sunburn. So this one is set in the mid 60s, again in rural Ireland, and it follows four siblings as they leave their hometown overnight to start again in this new village. We don't know why, but we know something is up with them. And you learn along with the locals in this new village exactly what is up with the O'Leary siblings, why they left, all their secrets. Um, so it's quite suspenseful, I would say, pacey, gothic, spooky, and loads of sapphic obsession in this as well.
Absolutely. It's like the perfect read for this time of year. Um, and I'm interested in that so you said it in the 60s, and I feel like it's a really, like the setting of the book, as much as the place is at the time, I mean, and as much as the place is such an important part of the book. And I can't really imagine it being set like in a different time period. Was it something specific about the 60s that made you set it? Like, why did you write it in the 60s?
It kind of, I knew I wanted to write it like quite deep in the past. It took me a while to land on the 60s. There was times very early on when I thought like this could have been the 1860s.
Mm.
Like I really wasn't sure initially when I wanted it to be. Um, but then it became really about I wanted to select like a time and place where queerness was just not going to be an option at all, and for it to be quite a foreign concept so that the queer character has a different path to discovering her queerness than we would in the modern day. Like the person who's queer in this book has no queer role
Mhm.
models. She has really no representation at all. And so when she's trying to make sense of what she's feeling, romance and attraction aren't necessarily the first things that she thinks of.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought the 60s was probably like as recently as I could set it and get away with that.
That's such an interesting, yeah. I feel like it adds so much layers to the possibility of being able to explore a character like that, and you can go down so many routes. And it's actually exciting, I think, as a writer as well as a reader to kind of go on that journey with Anna, with your character. And I guess you were talking about like the sapphic obsession around it. What I found interesting between like Sunburn and Heap Earth, there is this idea of obsession in both of them, but it's almost like you explore it kind of on two different sides of a coin. So like in Sunburn, it's the obsession is there, but it's from a lighter perspective. It's like about it's more loving, to the way that Lucy like obsesses over Susanna's like smell and her touch, and then with Heap Earth you have it again, but it's like a lot more like unsettling. It's darker. Like, was that sort of intentional? Do you think when you went into writing your second book to kind of explore obsession, but like in a different way?
Yeah, I think in Sunburn, it's longing that kind of veers into obsession. Where with this, I was very much starting from the point of obsession and I was like, let's see where this goes. Um, I wanted to have the yearning in the book not necessarily be romantic all of the time.
No, it's definitely not all the time. It's weird.
I didn't want it to be as like straightforward as someone falling in love with someone. Um, and so yeah, I really leaned into the obsession again because this character doesn't have any reference for what she's feeling. She experiences, attraction and desire and love, but doesn't really understand that's what it is. I think if somebody just said to her, like, you fancy this person, it would make her life a lot easier. But because that's just the last place her mind would go, she's like, well, I can't fancy a woman. Um, it comes out, yeah, in quite it becomes quite unhinged and a little bit dangerous. which was really enjoyable to, I really enjoyed writing about like a woman's emotions with no boundaries and no kind of, there was no pressure for it to sound good or sweet or romantic or anything. I was like, this can be as ugly as I want
Yeah.
it to be and just follow it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Although it gets quite dark, I enjoyed it.
No, I liked it. It's dark. Yeah, we love a messy queen. With Sunburn, I suppose you wrote from one perspective. You wrote really from Lucy's perspective, and then in Heap Earth, you've got four. You've got the three of the O'Leary siblings, and you've got Betty as well, another character. How did you find that shift from writing a book with one perspective to four? Because with Heap Earth, you do it so well because it's quite short and sweet chapters, and it adds to the compulsion of the book. It adds to that kind of page turning feeling.
I think I was in Sunburn, it's the main character. She's very introspective, and you could go for pages and pages with kind of just her thoughts. And I was just kind of keen to get out of one head, basically, and not be kind of locked in someone's brain for a whole book again. Now, the four characters who narrate this book, they are quite introspective, but each of their thought processes are very
Mm-hmm.
different. And they're all very much convinced, like, well, what I think is true and I'm right and you're all wrong. And so I think having four people who are very convinced that they're in the right and everyone else is in the wrong is like, it helps with the pacing of it. Um, because just as you start to settle into one narrator, you jump to another one who sees things very differently. It was very enjoyable, I will say, to have four different perspectives to write from in one book because it just gave me the room to say so much more and to not just put down one opinion on one thing. You can have, like, there's quite a few issues in this book, and you get four different
Mm.
takes on them, which was very, very freeing for me. But I was keen, I think I was nervous actually that I didn't want all the voices to sound the
Mm-hmm.
same and just have different narrators. So I gave them all little elements of speech. They all have their own habits and their own phrases that they say a lot. Um, and once I had like developed the voices out a bit more, I think it made it easier to like jump from voice to voice to
Yeah,
voice.
yeah, I think you did that really well in the book. And
Thank you.
I suppose like there's a lot about like truth in the book and what each character considers to be truth. So to be truth, and it's kind of interesting that you get to explore, as you said, from those different sides. And I guess I'm interested from a craft element. Like, was it easy for you to know who would come next, or did that take a while to sort of like figure out?
I think I kind of just went instinctively with
Okay.
it. Like there was parts of the book where I would be writing and writing from Anna's perspective, let's say, and then switch to one of the brothers just to be like, let's just
Yeah.
see. But then there were other parts where, I might have gone for like 40 pages and you haven't heard from one narrator the whole time. And I'm like, flip, I forgot about them. So sometimes it was instinctive, other times it required a lot of like writing down, like in which order they were coming, just to make sure that no one got forgotten. Because once you're in one voice, it's really easy to stay in that
Hmm.
voice. So yeah, sometimes it was easy, sometimes it was quite hard. I tried to just do what came naturally though, and like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, follow my instincts a bit.
Nice. And I suppose Heap Earth Upon It is the dreaded second novel. I really want to know like because of like the massive amazing reception that Sunburn has got from readers. So many people adore it, and also the award nominations. Let's go! Like, were you sort of was your kind of approach to this book influenced at all by that sort of kind of those things in your periphery, or did you just try to like block that out and just be like, right, no, back to page one?
Yeah, I mean, like there was definitely a moment where I thought, because I've had messages from people saying, I'll read whatever you put out next. I was like, so okay, someone's gonna read this. Like, there's no pretending. And that did freak me out a bit, to be honest. I was like, oh, like, because I knew I wasn't writing a second Sunburn. And I was like, oh, people are probably not going to like
Mm.
this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And it had made me quite nervous. But then I just put myself back in the perspective of like, no one's going to write this. I'm literally doing this to entertain myself. That's the only, I try to get back to the idea of like, this is a creative
Yeah.
pursuit. and it's not for other people. It's just for me to enjoy and to like write about topics and try and make sense of things for myself. And once I was able to like sit back into that, I was like, oh, love this. Um, but now it's coming out, and again, I'm faced with the reality that people will read it. But that's good. Like at this, it's good to be aware of that when I can't edit it anymore,
Mm.
because I'm like, well, it is what
When
it
it's
is
the final
now.
form, when it's in the shops, you're just like, well, can't do anything about it now.
Yeah, I kind of detach from it a little bit when it's in the shop, and yeah, it's good now. At this point, I'm like, okay, I've accepted where I
Yeah.
am. I can't edit it anymore.
Yeah, well, like I feel like you're right. I think you just have to do that. You just have to let it go out there and let other people have their own interpretation of it, or whatever. And you're just like, I've got my baby, and they can have theirs. It's
Yeah,
um,
exactly. Yeah. Once I don't deep it, I'm like, oh, it's totally fine. But then when I think about it, I'm like,
yeah,
so I
just
just trying to
spiraling.
think about it.
Well, what I also loved about Heap Earth Upon It is that kind of like gothicness that you said in the book. It was just done so well, and it really sort of reminded me of like the style of like Shirley Jackson. I was just like curious, do you have any kind of literary influences that maybe you like turn to, maybe specifically for Heap Earth, but also just in general?
Do you know what? Like when I was writing it at the time, I didn't seek out anything gothic or now that's not true actually. I did read The Woman in Black
Okay,
because I was like, let me see like how people write suspenseful, horrifying
right.
things. Um, but then I thought, okay, don't seek that anything like that out because I don't want to get too influenced by any one thing and then just produce something derivative. However, when I look back on what I was reading at the time, it all makes perfect sense. Like, for example, I read My Husband by Maud
Okay, yeah.
Ventura, which it has nothing to do with this book really, but then the obsession in that book is so bizarre and such a driving force for the narrative. So yeah, it's funny when I look back on like my wrap up of what I was reading throughout the whole period of writing this, I'm like, it's very clear that I was influenced by everything I was reading. Um, but yeah, like to answer your question, I didn't seek out anything that was like tonally
Mm.
similar. It came from everywhere
Hmm.
else.
Yeah, I think that happens all the time. It's just like you realize subconsciously that you're influenced by even
Yeah,
like the craziest things, like an encounter on a train or a film or a piece of art.
yeah, literally. Like it was bound to happen. Now that I'm looking back, I'm like, why did I not think, just because they're not like narratively linked or anything, why did I not think that that was going to happen? Now I'm more aware of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to be more, it's hard to know. It's like, do I try and curate what I'm reading even more
Mm.
to try and shape the next thing I write? Or do I just allow it to come, the inspiration to come from all these random places and see what comes, you know?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, you can get really like, you can really get
You
deep on
can
that.
actually. There's like
And
so like
maybe it's
I
really
can
better
see
not
I can
to.
see both sides for sure.
Yeah, it's funny.
Mm. Um, and with Sunburn and Heap Earth, there's like they're obviously quite different books, but there are such similarities in them. From like the sapphic tension, from the Irishness, from like the obsession that you were talking about. Um, what do you think is something that will always sort of feature in your books going forward? Do you think?
I think like definitely sapphic stories and definitely Irish stories because like as that's how I see the world. Like I'm Irish, I'm a dyke, so I'm like, okay, that's my
That's
default.
so yeah, that's so funny.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
write from
literally.
that perspective. Yeah, realistically, like I think, and why not? Like I think embrace it. Obsession seems to be something I can't get away from either. Oh my God, does that mean I'm like an obsessed person?
Is that like my
Okay,
personality?
yeah, there's obviously something I need to unpack there because I just find it so interesting. I love writing about like longing and
Yeah.
yearning, and then it's so easy for that to just, with one sentence, that can just be taken way too far. And I'm very interested in that
Ah,
tension.
okay.
I'll probably continue to explore that as well. So just more of the
Yeah,
same, really.
nice, nice, nice. Um, I guess what have been some of the favorite books that you've read this year? Then I feel like that's putting you on the spot, but
My favorite books that I've read this year, let me think. Okay, actually, this I had a really good reading summer. I read The Color Purple,
oh my god,
loved it.
so good.
Oh my God, it just knocked all the like my order of favorite books completely out of kilter because I was like, that's the best thing I've ever read in my
Yeah,
life.
nice.
I read Dogs of Summer, which I couldn't shut up about this summer, but it was like excellent. I loved that. And I read Carrion Crow by Heather Parry, which is like a sapphic horror novel that really scared me. And it was very, very good. But like, I'm still scared of it now.
So
And I
good.
read it months ago. And sometimes I think about parts of it and I'm like, oh, so I'm still scared
Yeah,
of
well, I
it.
feel like
I'm
that's a
like,
sign of a really good book if it stays with you for that long.
literally, I'm still scared. So I'm like, that's a sign of excellent writing. Um, so who knows, like how now what am I going to write next? If that's what I'm reading at the moment, how is that going to
Yeah, yeah,
shape
yeah.
the next? Yeah, it's funny.
What did you and like? What did you enjoy about writing Heap Earth Upon It this time around? Now that you knew that you could, whack out a novel, and when it came around to the second time, like, what was the best thing about it?
I enjoyed like leaning into the angst, I think, and just letting myself be like these characters are frustrated and sad and they're just desperately yearning for things that they can't have. And I very much enjoy just bathing in that sadness. It was enjoyable. And also I liked finding the duality in each character because I think throughout the novel it's easy to find it's easy to find fault with all of the characters and it's easy to be like you're the baddie, you're the baddie, you're the baddie. So I really enjoyed pulling out a little bit of good in all of
Mm.
them, and even when they make bad decisions, having them be quite justified and that they make sense for that character. Um, yeah, I liked putting good into the
Yeah,
badness.
like making them quite nuanced, and that can be a hard thing to
Yeah,
do. So I think you did it really well.
thank you.
Yeah. Well, I guess finally, last but not least, do you think you can give us a little sneak peek of anything that we can sort of expect next from you? I know this has just come out, but the bitches are hungry. Bitches
Uh,
being me.
like I said, definitely something sapphic. The thing I'm working on now is like probably the gayest thing I've done so
That's a
far.
crazy thing to say, considering that you wrote Sunburn. To be honest,
But
that's
this one now,
exciting.
I'm like, this is really gay.
Okay,
I can't say too much
okay,
about
okay.
it,
But
but
something gay.
something gay.
Okay,
Gay, extreme
okay.
gay.
Extreme gay. Love that. That's the title of Chloe Michelle's next third novel. Extreme gay. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me and chatting about Heap Earth Upon It. Guys, it's out today. It's just such a dark and twisted page turner. Pick it up, read it now. You won't regret it. Chloe, congrats on the book.
Thank you, Ross.